Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the first edition of Warrior Speak. Caring Minds is proud to add this segment to our webinar series Health 360. We have had a number of experts on this platform as our guest, and for a truly 360 experience, we wanted to include brave, inspiring stories from the heart, stories from survivors, warriors, and fighters. Thus, today we are here to look beyond the diagnosis and celebrate four women. Three are here. Fourth, I just wanted to mention my mom, who was also diagnosed with breast cancer, and she was a little hesitant to face the camera, so she did not come. But I'm a proud daughter of a mother who combat cancer very easily. When she sent her diagnosis to the lab, then everybody in the family was very scared to get the report. My mom told, don't need to go, anyone don't need to go, I will go myself and fetch my own report. This is the way my mom was strong. So my daughter Priyam will take the program forward.
Thank you, Mom. A little about Caring Minds before I begin. My mother, psychotherapist, founded Caring Minds 8 years ago in 2013, and I have been a part of the journey, heading new initiatives and helping her in my own little way. Our vision is to break the stigma surrounding mental health issues and to provide multi-speciality mental health care all under one roof, one call away, one click away. So, why did we choose surviving cancer as the topic for today? Recently, it was National Cancer Survivors Day, and we wanted to hear real stories from real women that not only inspired but also raised awareness and busted myths related to cancer. Health 360 can only be achieved when both the mind and the body are healthy. With cancer, where the body is already under attack, we sometimes forget the invisible but deep impact it has on mental and emotional health of the patient or the survivor and their families. By sharing each living story with the world, opening up about dealing with unique challenges, we hope to make other patients and survivors feel less alone, supported, and heard. Today, we have with us three amazing, bold, courageous women who are warriors in their own right. We will begin with a brief introduction of these three beacons of light to give you an idea about the women behind the name. After this, we will move to asking each of them questions about their brave journeys from diagnosis to today. We will keep this evening very informal, candid, conversational, and interactive as possible. My mom and I will be moderating this event, and for the duration of the session, the audience has been put on mute. However, please feel free to use the Zoom chat and post in as many questions as you have, and we will try to get through all of them. And there's also a little surprise right at the end for our speakers and for the audience. So stay tuned in. Before we get started, I'll like to show you a very short video of Caring Minds, and then we'll dive right into the session. Thank you.
Caring Minds is the brainchild of founder and director Meenu Budhia. The seeds of the facility were sown with the birth of Meenu's younger daughter Prachi, 8 years after her elder daughter Priyam was born. As Prachi was growing up, her family noticed that she was having a difficult time at school. Prachi was diagnosed with ADHD, low IQ, and later bipolar disorder. As a mother, Meenu was not only concerned about her daughter's time at school, but also her future. She trained to become a psychotherapist and counselor. Wanting to apply the expertise she gained while training her daughter, she started her first social initiative, Caring Minds. Priyam, who had been studying and working in the UK for 6.5 years, returned to join Caring Minds as the head of new initiatives. Established in 2013, the sprawling super specialty facility is a gift to the city of Kolkata and East India. The vision behind Caring Minds was to introduce to the community a one-stop solution for all problems related to psychological health. It is a state-of-the-art center for mental health care and psychological growth. Here, mental health professionals provide expert services for both clinical and non-clinical issues across all age groups, from children to the elderly. Caring Minds offers an easily accessible and inviting environment in which you can consult with a highly efficient group of experts. We have three wings: training and development, clinical, and academia. The training and development wing conducts soft skills workshops for schools, corporates, and other socio-cultural organizations. The clinical wing deals with all issues related to the mind. It aims to help people who are in need of a guiding hand for their overall emotional well-being. The academia wing is a training academy that develops and delivers both short and long-term psychology-related courses. Sometimes we need help and guidance to feel better. You are not alone. To drive your blues away, visit Caring Minds today. Together, let's say hello to a better, brighter tomorrow.
So let's get started. The first speaker we have with us today is a very dear friend of mine, Swati Garg. A spirited soul with unrivaled energy and enthusiasm, Swati is a pint-sized dynamite with a whole lot of heart. Uniquely creative and quirky, she is the founder of Sauka Kamal and the organizer of Hansel and Gretel Grande. Nothing, not even cancer, could keep her down or dim her shine. Today, she's beat breast cancer and focuses on supporting fellow survivors and those undergoing treatment by sharing her journey. Featured on platforms like The Quint, Humans of Bombay, Akkad Bakkad, and many more, she's focused on spreading oodles of positivity and trashing taboos. And more than any other introduction, as I said, she's a really dear friend. Welcome, Swati.
Thanks so much, Priyam.
Now let's get the conversation started with a fiery spirit. So the first thing I want to ask you is, you speak about your experience with such candor on all the various platforms. Tell us about your journey. What inspired you to talk about your journey?
So the fact that when I was diagnosed with cancer, and at that moment, I needed someone to talk to, and you could only reach out to family members who had survived cancer. You could reach out to Facebook portals which spoke about cancer, and then I realized how important it is to spread the message, how important it is to break the taboo and tell everyone that it's not that scary as we think. It's not like a bullet in your head where you will definitely die. There are survivors, there are us who are talking about it. And also the fact that, when I used to go for my chemotherapy, I used to see these really small kids, like 1 year, 2 year, who would come for chemotherapy not knowing what it is, oblivious of the fact that what is happening to their body, yet being so strong, right? So I think that motivated me to talk about my journey, and I wanted to spread to more and more people.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about your support system. What actually helped you cope with hope, and who comprised your support system? Not just who and what comprised your support system?
So, this is a time where you really understand who your close network is, like who you want to keep close and who you want to eliminate from your life. So my family, you're always close to your mother, father, brother, but then there's always an extended family who you don't call every day. This is that time where your extended family calls to you every day, keeps a check on you, and you realize that, your family is everything. And then there are friends. You really understand that these are the friends, like Priyam's been a huge support to me. Small things they do for you, they just realize, even a message when you're not feeling the best to check on you, how you are, just builds up your support system immensely.
I'd also like you to share a little bit about, what comprised your support system, because I know you got into painting and meditation and chanting. So yeah, if you could share a little bit about that too.
So, after when I used to come back home from my chemo, usually I used to be sleeping for like 3-4 days, not knowing what's happening around me. And I used to set a deadline on my head saying that on the 4th day or the 5th day, I need to get up and get back to who I was. Because I'm a ball of energy. People call me a ball of energy. So I've channelized all my energy into painting, planting trees, playing board games, talking to people who really motivated me, added value in my life, watching a lot of Netflix. I used to go out for drives. I used to just be myself, right? Because the moment you start thinking that what you are going through, or the moment you start telling yourself that, oh my God, I'm feeling so sick, it will really take over you more mentally. So just engaging your mind in a creative manner really helped me.
Also, losing your hair can be quite scary. So, but you decided to go down the path of the bold, bald, and beautiful. So, tell us that story.
So 3 weeks into my chemo, I kept telling myself earlier that I will not lose my hair, and I was very confident about it. But then 3 weeks into my chemo, I saw this huge patch on my head, and I was like, damn, how did this happen? And I still thought that this is it. But then, it was day 1, day 2, it kept falling, kept falling. And that's when I told myself that I am going through a lot. I do not want anything more to irritate me or disturb me mentally. So I just went bald. Like, I remember booking a parlor date with my mother. I made a big deal out of it. And I booked an appointment, shaved my hair up. And I kept telling myself that it's so pretty. I sent pictures to my close friends saying that, look, what have I done? Like, it's such a bold move, right? So I think reassurance from friends, fact that you don't want to annoy yourself further. Yeah, it's cool to be bald, but see, my hair's back now.
And you also bought yourself some really nice accessories with all those headbands and
Yeah. So I did get myself a lot of accessories. I used to wear these really cute hairbands, and because I'm really short, I used to look like a little kid more. But it's a lot of fun, right? To experiment with yourself. This is a side of me I would have never seen because I loved my hair. So I think, yeah, I got a chance to experiment with life also.
Okay. And how do you think this journey has influenced your relationships, be it friendships, be it boys? Do you think marriage is going to be a challenging chapter?
So I think this journey in terms of relationships, like be it with friends or with boys, it has really helped me eliminate toxic relationships in my life, because I didn't want at this point I bheed bharaba in my life, right? You want people who are genuinely there for you, genuinely count on you, and generally care for you. And regarding the whole topic of marriage, so I think before, I got diagnosed with cancer, like I was dating this guy, and when I was diagnosed with cancer, I was not with him anymore, and that really did break me for certain days, I think. But throughout my journey, I was like, no, I will not let it disturb me anymore, because at this point in time, what needed my attention was my health, right? So it's about you, how you block yourself from these thoughts. And I think marriage will not be a problem, because that's what we are doing. We are breaking the taboo, we are breaking the stereotype. We are telling people that cancer is like any other disease, right? It's like diabetes in any house. So cancer happens house to house. Yeah.
Okay. And your vibe is so positive, besides the fact that you're my friend and we have a spillover effect on each other. How do you hold on to this mad cheerfulness? How do you deal with any feelings of hopelessness or helplessness that might have come about in your journey?
So I think the best thing is to talk to whoever you're comfortable with. If there are times or days I have been low, I have messaged or I have sent a voice note to Priyam and I'll be like, this is what I'm feeling like. And just hearing it is fine boosts you up, like you're back on track, right? So whenever there will be times where you feel low, there will be times where you say that why me? Just pick up the phone and talk to a friend. It really helps. Yeah.
Okay. And after your battle with cancer, how do you look at the future now? Do you look at it differently? Are you more FOMO now, or are you more JOMO? And we also heard about your Warrior Moon vacation to Goa. So I think everyone would love to know more on that.
So I became very restless when I was in the last week of radiation, and I remember walking up to my doctor with 4 radiations left, and I was like, doctor, I know my treatment will finish in 4 days, but do you think I can travel, because tickets are really expensive right now? I need to book. he looked at me and he was like, yeah, you can go. And then I threw the next big question at him. Can I drink? Because I'm going to Goa. He was like, you can drink, but just don't drink and drive in Goa. You might die then. So I was like, fine. I knew things were safe. And that's when I went to Goa with my family, and I created a hashtag on Instagram called Warrior Moon, because there were so many babies happening in lockdown, right? So there was a lot of baby moon happening during lockdown. So I was like, let me just create my own hashtag. And I think it really helped me, right? I think after cancer being diagnosed to me, I have learned to appreciate smaller things in life. I have learned to value things. I have become closer to my mother. We fight less, which is a very big achievement. And yeah, it changes you as a person. It changes your perspective to a life. You value life also because you fought for it, right? It's a second life given to you. So that's how cancer changed me. Yeah.
Thank you. Mom, would you like to ask Swati any questions?
Yeah, Swati is a very dear friend, and I've seen her for so many years coming to home and Priyam going to her house. I already used to ask her, Priyam, where were you the whole night? So when Priyam said with Swati, then I was all, means no worries, because I just can't talk anymore.
Yeah, I get it.
But Mom, just remember, she's my friend and not your friend. So yeah, just
No, but sometimes she becomes mine.
Yeah, I get longer voice notes from auntie than you, okay?
okay. So we'll move on to the next speaker. We have with us Nidhi Masi. Just a second. So
Hello, everyone.
Hello. So I'll just introduce Nidhi Masi to everyone on this platform. She's a fashionista, a homemaker, and a mom, a woman with an indomitable attitude. Nidhi Masi, Nidhi Almal, she runs a fashion label called Buttonhole. Based in the city of Joy, Calcutta, her creative endeavor has a pan-India presence and caters to numerous multi-designer stores. Nidhi Masi was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2016 and is now cancer-free. Welcome. Now let's start with Nidhi Masi, our next superwoman. So when you got to know you've been diagnosed with the big C, how did you deal with it? How did you break the news to your children, your family, your loved ones?
Imagine that there are a bunch of children. They're walking all in a straight line in school, doing what they're supposed to do, and just going about their daily routine. And all of a sudden, this teacher comes and yanks one particular child out of the line. The child is absolutely lost and bewildered. What have I done wrong? Yes, I might have been a little naughty, but I've not done anything bad to be, totally yanked out of the line. So imagine what the child is thinking at that point of time. And that is the exact same emotion that I felt when I got diagnosed. There was a sense of bewilderment. I didn't know what hit me. There was shock, disbelief. I didn't know what the future was going to be. So obviously I was like really scared. And then things started happening like so fast. The doctors, the hospitals, all the preparations, the traveling. And so I kind of went on an auto mode. I was like a zombie, I just kind of gave myself up to the process that I had faith would heal me.
Okay. And how did you share this with your children and say, with the rest of your family? Because first you have to accept it yourself, and only then can you, let your children know who are really, really small. So how did you do that?
Yes. So when I got diagnosed, my daughters were 11 and 6 years old. So, and, I feel that children are way more resilient and they understand far more than we adults give them credit for. My kids obviously knew that, something is up, something is wrong with mom, but they obviously did not understand the gravity of the entire situation. And, once I sat and I talked to myself about this entire situation, then I felt that the next step was, okay, let me now talk to the girls and give them a sense of what is going on. So one fine day, I like just sat them down and put it across to them very, very simply. I said, okay, mom has these bad germs in her body, which, need to be taken out. So yes, it's not going to be like a short process. It is going to take a couple of months to get through this, but yes, it's going to get done, and you girls needn't worry about it. So I guess that really sorted them out.
On your treatment and recovery journey, what are some of the biggest myths that you've encountered and you managed to bust?
Okay, so I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So one of the most common questions, the most common myths that I've faced is, it's probably because of the kind of clothes that I wore, more specifically the lingerie that I used to wear, I mean, coming from the most educated, the most knowledgeable of people, this was a question that was thrown up to me so many times, that, so this is one of the biggest myths, the kind of clothes that you wear probably causes cancer. And then there are people who talk to you about, okay, you've probably been eating something wrong, or maybe you've been stressing too much. It's probably the way you think, it's your lifestyle. So there are actually a whole lot of myths around cancer. Yes, there are some established facts that if you smoke, then you do get lung cancer. If you're exposed to sun for too long, you do get skin cancer. And maybe if you're genetically inclined, you might be more prone to getting cancer. But for the rest of all of it, all the myths, I think that the jury is still out on them. Science still has not established. So let's not beat ourselves about it, that, it is something that we have done to cause this.
Okay. And which was the most difficult part of your treatment and how did you deal with it?
Physically, of course, the surgery was very difficult. I did not know how I'm going to come out of it. The first chemo cycle, again, that was also very, very painful. But mentally, the most difficult part was that I felt that somehow I am responsible for what is happening, for the catastrophe that has befallen my entire family and myself, that it was something that I had done wrong, So I'm very fortunate in this regard. I have a sister-in-law who, Mrs. Dolly Jatia, who works with cancer patients. She does like an incredible amount of voluntary work with pediatric cancer patients in Mumbai. So she sat me down and she was like, the first thing she told me was, I hope you know that this is not your fault. It's nothing that you have done. You just have to accept that one fact, and then your journey becomes that much easier. So she kind of knew, having been around cancer for such a long time, she knew that this is one of the first thoughts that plagues almost all cancer patients, that it is them who has caused it. So, she was like a huge factor in me accepting the disease.
And what are some of the things you did to keep yourself, just happy and think positive and keep yourself mentally and emotionally strong?
To keep myself strong, I kind of, did not focus too much on it. I kind of just gave myself up to the process. I just kept on telling myself, this is a process that's going to heal me, so I might as well welcome it, and just take one day at a time, not overthink the process. That really helped me get through the entire deal.
Great.
Thank you for sharing. Mom, would you like to take over?
मैं ये शुरू करना चाहूंगी. ये मेरी छोटी सी बहन है. She is my little sister. जब से उसको डायग्नोस हुआ, I had no face to face her. Means I was all the time, means I never talked to her properly directly. So today, face to face, Nidhi.
Didi.
So, what is one thing you wish you knew before you started treatment? Was there anything in particular that scared you?
So honestly, the instant I was diagnosed, I first made a strong mental note to myself that I'm not going to gather information about it. I know it's, I categorically decided that, I would not Google my symptoms. I would not see what are the repercussions, and I would do none of that. I totally decided to rely on my husband and my doctors. I know this probably makes me come across like someone who is like an ostrich with their head stuck in the sand, but it actually really helped me. It allowed me not to overthink and just take one day at a time, just put one foot in front of the other so that you are making progress, you are getting ahead. So, and in this respect, during my initial treatment, my husband, kind of, he just cosseted me. Not many, I did not meet a whole lot of people because we did not want that sympathy, that pity. And he was constantly encouraging me to be strong. And he felt that, if I met too many people, then they would say all sorts of things to me and I would somehow lose that hope. So I did not obsess with what is going to happen in the future. I was supposed to focus on one day at a time. That really helped me get through.
Was there anything in particular that scared you?
I think losing my hair was the scariest bit. I love my hair, and losing it was like a very, very daunting prospect for me.
So did you follow a strict diet or consult a dietitian?
Yes, I did get in touch with a dietitian who obviously advised me to build up my immune system so that the body could withstand the chemo. So a lot of instructions about eating healthy and sleeping timely and all of that. But what was most difficult for me was my dietitian told me, since you're going to be going through chemo, you are going to need a lot of protein in your body in order to be able to sustain the chemo. So one of the easiest ways to give yourself protein is eggs. And here I was, I'm a vegetarian, and I was faced with the prospect of eating eggs. That was like a huge struggle for me. So, and I also was told to avoid sugar, but I wasn't overly concerned or rigid about that. But yes, eggs was the most difficult for me, introducing that into my diet.
So what did you start and avoid?
So I started eating eggs to a certain degree, and sugar was what I tended to avoid. Started eating healthier, more home cooked food. In fact, at that time, the food was like totally home cooked, totally avoided outside food, all of that. Just made my lifestyle, my eating habits more healthy.
Who was your support system?
Support system, yes. My family has been my biggest support system through this. My husband, of course, my mother-in-law, she took care of both my girls for the entire time that I was away. My father-in-law, he accompanied us for every doctor, to every treatment, for every hospital visit, constantly encouraging us both mentally and morally, we're going to get through this, it's not a big deal, come on. And then my husband, of course, he was like the nucleus, he has this quiet strength and confidence in him. And so I would always draw my strength from him. He had this unwavering faith that, things are only going to get better from now on. We have been through the worst. Now it's only going to get better. So that really gave me strength. Then, of course, there were my friends and, who accepted me for, what I was going through, what I wanted to do. And they were so unassuming about it. That really helped me accept myself. So now, yes, friends, family, they have been my biggest support system.
So is there any particular incident that gave you added strength?
Actually, yes. When my FNAC report came in, which is the report that kind of tells you that whether you do have cancer or not, that came in on 24th of December. So that's a day, under normal circumstances, we would usually go out and party and enjoy ourselves. But obviously, because such devastating news had come in, we were all upset, trying to deal with it. I was all over the place. And, so my family physician, he was like, okay, just hold on. I want you to meet someone. He introduced me to this one cancer survivor, this lady. God bless her. I mean, she really gave me strength that day. She had gone through the entire gamut of treatment, and she was like, you you've got the worst news that you could possibly get. What can be worse than this? It's only going to get better from now on. So you might as well, I mean, yes, the treatment is long, it is an arduous process. So and there will be times when you will probably not feel like going out, not feel like doing a whole lot of things, not feel like meeting people. So just enjoy today. Go out, get dressed, enjoy yourself. You might not get this opportunity for in the near future. So I mean, at first I was like flabbergasted. I was like, what is she saying? I mean, come on, I've been diagnosed with cancer today and she's asking me to go to a party. But slowly that idea just grew on me. I'm like, might as well grab the opportunity while I have it. I don't know what the future is going to hold. So I got up, I got dressed, and we actually went for that party. And honestly, I really enjoyed myself that day. I just kind of pushed everything to the back of my mind and ate and chatted and partied. So it was like, it was actually a very good stress buster. I mean, when I came back home, it was a different story altogether. But so me going for that party that day really kind of set the tone for my entire cancer journey. Take one day at a time. Do not overthink the process. Just put one foot in front of the other, and you will reach the place where you are supposed to be. God has something good planned for me. So yes, that's the incident.
You have come out publicly for the first time. So how are you feeling?
Actually, a lot of butterflies in my stomach. Since we have sent the flyers out, I've got numerous messages. Oh, why are you on this panel? What do you have to do with all of this? And that made me realize all the more that yes, we do need to talk about this. I need to talk about this. And in doing so, like, I was helped by another cancer survivor. She shared her experience and she gave me strength. If I can do the same for anybody else out there, if someone gets even an iota of strength from what I say, I think it's totally worth it.
Right.
Priyam told me that Nidhi Masi took 2-3 days to think over it. And it's, of course, it's a big thing to come out publicly, but I'm very happy that you have come out, and in near future, you will also spread messages, awareness messages for all the other cancer survivors.
I'm so glad I did this. I'm so glad. Thank you.
Wonderful.
So next is Sapna Somani. Thank you, Nidhi.
Thank you.
Jim, you're putting spotlight on her. Hi, I'm meeting you for the first time. I'm seeing
Hi,
you for
Minu
the
ji.
first time, but I've heard a lot. Swatiti was telling a lot about you.
Thank you.
You are a very courageous lady and whatnot. So, mom, wife, business woman, fighter, survivor. A woman with an unbeatable spirit that truly sets her apart. Sapna Somani is the director of HR and admin at the Premier India Agency Private Limited. A part of many social and business organizations, she also loves to take care of her plants and is an excellent cook. So we are coming.
Most welcome.
Sapna was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in 2019 and subsequently underwent a robotic surgery to remove the pancreatic tumor. Welcome, Sapna.
Thank you so much.
And it's time for our third Wonder Woman, Sapna. So what was life like right before your diagnosis? What symptoms did you have and how long was it before you were diagnosed?
First of all, let me thank you, Meenuji and Priyamji, for inviting me to this forum. I'm not a trained speaker, but I hope I'm able to convey my feelings through my story. Talking about life before diagnosis, it was quite a carefree one. I was attending weddings, parties. I'm a party animal, and I love to dance in the parties. And I was traveling, etc. Other than performing my professional duties, and of course, my household work. Honestly, I had quite a casual approach towards health before my diagnosis, as I seldom had fallen sick in life. I had I have not even got fever for 16 years before I was diagnosed with malignancy of early second stage in pancreas. This was on 6th of March 2019, and it was an neuroendocrine tumor, which I was diagnosed. And unfortunately, symptoms bola jaye to, pancreas does not give any symptoms in the early stages. I was just suffering from back pain, from which my gynec suggested a precautionary ultrasound. A lesion was diagnosed in the pancreas by the radiologist, and then a series of investigations started till the PET CT, which confirmed my malignancy. It was an accidental discovery, and my oncologist had known this to be the second such case in his career of 30 years. I was lucky, thank God. Around 4 months before my diagnosis, I had suffered from a severe bout of gastritis. My surgeon in the US pointed out that this was one of the early symptoms of pancreatic cancer. We all tend to overlook such symptoms as a result of wrong eating or late nights, etc. But I would suggest not to ignore any such unusual occurrences uh, in your body, and you should learn to listen to your body.
So what was the first thought that ran through your mind after getting your diagnosis?
First thought, to be truthful, it was why me? Um, it was the eve of my anniversary when the doctor confirmed my malignancy. I was literally arguing with the doctor that there could be a fault in the result of PET CT, but and I was reluctant to accept it initially, but I had to face the truth and accept it. However, the next morning I woke up with the thought that this is not the end of the world. That too shall pass, and I have to get all right soon. And that thought is what kept me going.
So what advice do you have for building mental strength to deal with the diagnosis?
I had undergone counseling sessions before my surgery, and this prepared me a lot for all that I had to undergo post surgery. During my counseling session, I was also prepared for a second surgery, which would be required if I developed hernias. And I did develop 3 incisional hernias after a couple of months of my first surgery. So that was a result of the 8 hours long robotic surgery which I had undergone to remove the tumor from the pancreas. And in my opinion, counseling sessions from a professional and positive approach towards your treatment helps a lot to build up your mental strength to deal with the diagnosis. Also, nowadays, a lot of alternate therapies are also available. But in my opinion, you should always set a first line of treatment which resonates best with your body. And then all these alternate therapies can really help you to deal with the issue.
So glad to hear that counseling helped you.
Yes.
Yeah. So upon looking back, what do you think was the most difficult part of your journey and how did you overcome it?
Um, we all have fears, fears of known, fears of unknown. I think fears of losing our loved ones. One of the big fears is to uh, lose your own health. My biggest fear was that will I be able to lead a normal life after the treatment? Will I ever be able to come onto the dance floor in a party? So you have to be emotionally very strong to overcome your fears. What kept me going was the continuous unconditional love and support from my family as well as my friends. But in spite of all of this, you have your days when you feel very low. you just don't feel like talking to anyone. And I'm generally a very talkative person, and my husband would always, get very upset. Why aren't you talking? But yes, you have your low days, and music acted like good therapy during my low days when I was on bed. And gardening kept me really happy when I gathered the strength to be up and about. There were so many people like chanting for me, even doing Reiki and Theta healing on me, praying for me. All this gave me immense strength to fight this out.
So what is the biggest change you have seen in yourself and your lifestyle after combating cancer?
Cancer, the term itself sounds so scary. Um, After I have overcome this dreadful episode, I probably love life all the more, and certainly no more casual approach towards health. And I'd like to quote a small incident here. When I got my first surgery done in the US, just 3 weeks after that, the doctor said it might take you 4 to 5 weeks in the US itself before you can get back home. And 3 weeks after my surgery, my brother's daughter was to get married. And for me, dancing in the Sangeet was one of my dream to dance in the Sangeet for my niece's wedding. And this was a continuous worry for me. Will I be able to dance? I don't think so. And as soon as I landed from US, I landed in Calcutta, and I said I have to attend the wedding. Everybody was very, very scared about it. And as soon as I reached home the second day, I said I have to practice on a song. And everybody in the family, because I was not meeting people also, and everybody in the family said, no, you cannot do this. And I said, I silently went and told the choreographer, ki, please mujhe kuch easy wale steps sikha do, in which I don't have to jump. And I did it for the Sangeet. Of course, it was just
Oh, wow.
for a few seconds, but I did it.
Wow. Great.
So brave, so brave. So what are some healthy habits that you started and plan to continue?
Healthy Karele ka juice. Now I have become diabetic after the major part of my pancreas has been removed. So Karele ka juice is one of my latest addition to my diet every day. And of course, lemon shots, because my spleen was also removed in the surgery. So lemon shots, which builds up immunity. So lemon shots also are now a part of my daily food habits. And of course, other than that, healthy food eating habits which can improve your immunity, and everyday exercise regime, which keeps me going. And this is what I follow daily.
So have your life changed forever?
Sorry?
Have your life changed forever?
No, not at all. Well, it was, I took almost 10 months to recover completely after both the surgeries. And now I lead a normal, happy life. Of course, your follow-up visits with the doctor post-treatment every year is extremely important. I suggest to every person who's undergone malignancy, one must, you should never get casual on your follow-up visits post your surgery or treatment, whatever you have undergone to overcome this particular thing. And after my follow-up visit, the second time, I had gone to the US for my follow-up visit for the first time, sorry. So that was my second visit. And when I had undergone the PET-CT and everything, the first thing what I asked the doctor was, can I go for a holiday? And the doctor had a big smile and he said, yes, of course you can. And my second question was, can I drink on my holiday? So doctor said, yes, you can, since you're cancer free as of now, and but everything in moderation. So that's it. I am all hale and hearty. It's been 2 years and I'm all good, happy now.
So who was your support system throughout?
My family, of course, my husband and my both my kids, they left their respective jobs in Bombay, and despite me telling them, please get back, now I'm going to get normal. But my son went and he resigned from his job and he came back within a month. So they were here continuously with me all the time for 6 months at a stretch, and my daughter never even went back to Bombay after me pestering her a lot of times, ki, get back to your work. But no, since I was not meeting people on an everyday basis, since my immunity was very low, doctor said to avoid visitors for 3 months. And my family and of course my friends, close friends, I would talk to them on any day which was low. I would just call up a friend, talk to her or him, and that was a big support system that kept me going all the time. And of course, after 3 months, I had to go for my second surgery, which also took another 3 months for me to recover. So I think it took around 9 to 10 months for me to get all right, back into action, with little restrictions, of course. But now I'm all hale and hearty.
Great, great.
So nice to see you all chirpy and happy.
Thank you.
So, Priyam, will we take questions from audience now?
Yeah, I just like to say that the one common thread I've noticed amongst all the survivors and all the brave women here is that everyone loves to party and everyone loves dancing. Between mom, me, Swati, Nidhi Masi, and Sapna auntie. So kudos to all of us on that. So yes, we can take some questions now from the audience. Would anyone like to ask a question? We have. Actually, before that, do you have any of your loved ones, your family members who've also joined us? And we would love to hear from them. So Saurabh Moss, are you around?
Saurav is there?
Yeah, I'll just unmute him.
Okay.
I am here.
Hi, you can switch on your video.
Yeah. Hello, everyone.
So can you share something about the whole journey?
I would say that Nidhi has been very strong throughout the journey, and she has accepted it the right way and taken throughout the treatment. Hello.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So Priyam, next any this thing. Swati, is anybody wants to speak? Swati's mom or anybody?
Family here.
I think Priyam will be a good person to talk about how she's been a support and how she handled it from a psychologist's point of view and from a friend's point of view. Yeah.
I mean, so for me, there's not much to say because I've sort of been through this journey with Swati, and I just feel that, I mean, when I got to know, when she broke the news saying that she has cancer, it was, I think I had a very normal reaction towards her, because you can never show to somebody who, is diagnosed that you're shocked. And I think she herself took it in a very light-hearted way. She didn't really make a big thing out of it, and she took it step by step. And she would always be so casual about it and so playful about it. So the one thing that I could do was really just be there for her, and which is what I tried to do. And I'm happy that I could be. So, I don't have much to say. I'm just really happy that you're out of this, and we're back to our, dancing nights, and back to living our life the way we do.
Yeah.
Some Nirja Singh, she wants to speak, and also Swati Bui.
And Mr. Ajay Gupta also.
Ajay, yeah.
I'll just unmute Swati Bua.
Yeah. Hi, am I audible?
Yes, can you switch on your video, please?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So kudos to all you survivors, and I've met Swati, of course, and Nidhi as well. But this message is especially for Sapna. When we first got to know, Sapna has the loudest laugh. She dances the longest. And when we got to know that she has something like cancer, and she used to always keep saying, I never get fever, I never get fever. And then, cancer came as a huge, it was totally, ekdam hit us like bad. And I'm so ashamed to admit that I was scared to call her up because I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to even talk about it. And this brave woman, she called me the day she was going to US and I was in Singapore, and I can never forget that. And I mean, Sapna, that's really amazing. I don't think I've ever told you that, but that day, I was so, this is one lesson I've really learned from you, that, you can't, problems are there and you can't shy away. And now if there's even a very difficult situation, I always say, okay, it has to be faced heads on. There's just no get like feeling scared about it. So that's my 2 bits.
Thank you.
Swati, on that note, I would like to share, since the relatives or near and dear ones can speak, 2 words for Sapna. Okay, the night we were told she has it and she denied to doctor, she fought with him, she fought with me, of course, too. That's her right. Next morning was our 28th anniversary, and रात को रोना धोना हो गया 2-1 घंटा. And morning when I got up, and normally all life I have been waking up earlier, but that morning she was up earlier and she was already talking to friends in US about possibilities of getting treatment there and blah blah. Doctor had already suggested names. So she रोना धोना रात को हो गया 2-1 घंटा वो program चला, but morning she was up and about. That was one. And all along the treatment, she said, you don't seem worried. One, I didn't seem worried because the doctors were good and a lot of confidence was given in. Dusra, right from day one, she has told me, agar, much before cancer, I mean, generally in life, that agar mujhe kuch ho bhi gaya, kisi aur ko nahi aane dungi. So I had the confidence ki ye kahin jayegi. So I was cool ki sab theek ho jayega.
That's a great one. Priyam from Dehradun, Dr. Jiti Singh wants to speak.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Nirja Singh. I'm Nidhi Amal's batchmate from MGD. I'm a consultant psychologist with in Dehradun. I work with Max Hospital, the neuroscience department. And very intriguing, very inspiring meeting today. And hats off to all you cancer survivors. My due respect to all of you. And the most concerning part that is for me is to understand most of you women who have gone through it have shown resilience in your thought processes, because unless you fight your fear, you can't fight any disease, be it cancer, be it tuberculosis, be it the SARS-2, the corona pandemic, or even the mucormycosis. And more importantly, what I want to ask you that as you sailed through, like there were people chanting for you, and I believe Ayushman Khurrana's wife, she's a Buddhist practice just like me, and she fought cancer, and she had a very positive approach. So how negative were your approaches towards your disease? My question.
Hi, Nirja. It's so nice to see you here. I mean, I'm seeing you after school, which is like
23 years, darling. How are you?
Yes, I mean, I'm good. So nice to see you here. Sorry, what was your question again?
My question, Nidhi, is to each and every one of you, and could be to the psychologists and to the Caring Minds team, that when you face a disease, you are bound, as human nature is, to have fear or to have a post-traumatic stress disorder coming at you, and then to be aligning yourself and to be accepting your state of affairs as it is. So my question is, how negative or how positive were all of you in your journey with cancer?
So
That's very important.
I personally feel that the first step towards fighting any disease is to love yourself. You have to really love yourself. You have to be loving your life in order to put all that energy in getting healed. So that self-love, that importance to self is paramount in this kind of a situation. You have to love yourself in order to go through this long and arduous journey. So I think that was the biggest positive. And negatives, there are like hundreds of thoughts that plague your mind.
right.
What's going to happen, how am I going to come out of it, how are my kids going to fare, how is my family going to cope with it. So the negatives are there's a whole multitude of them. You
Right.
have to focus on the positives. That's what gets you through.
Right. And another question is that mental health awareness and mental health approaches have become very, very important over the years, and very important to understand when you're fighting a disease like cancer or any other, almost a long-term journey where you are fighting a disease that almost succumbs your life. How important is it for you to address to your oncologist as well as to a psychologist or a psychotherapist? Did any of you take any support of any kind throughout your journey?
So, no, I did not consult a psychologist. I was pretty much on my own, and I had this incredible support system around me, So, that was where I drew my strength from. That was what helped me tide over the entire thing.
My heart goes out
So,
to you, Nidhi, brave girl.
thank
And
you,
ma'am,
Neerja.
Mrs. Somani, you have proved to absolutely fight it out. You are more resilient than what resilience should be, as much as Nidhi is or any of us are who have fought cancer. So, and coming to adversity and adverse situations in your lives, and then taking up social support. My question is that many people at times lose their faith in themselves, when they are fighting a disease like cancer. How important was your faith in yourself or in your belief system?
Yes, I did take counseling sessions before my surgery. And as Nidhi said, it's very, very important to love your own self. And there are days when you feel so low. There are days when you feel
Yes, ma'am.
negative about it. There are
Yes,
days when you don't feel like talking to anyone. But yes, positivity, best out of waste, they say. And you do feel positive with the support system around you. You do
True that.
feel, yes, you need to be alive for the people who love you so much. That keeps you going.
Right. That's the attitude. That's exactly what I was looking forward for, coming from someone's, your inner conscience telling you that you have to fight it because your children gave up their careers to come to you. So you had to give up on your fear to get back to them.
Absolutely.
And I think it worked brilliantly. And there is a brilliant book written by Bruce Lipton on the biology of self-belief and how you monitor your own body, you monitor your cells, and how you literally build up on your own dead cells, because you've got the killer cells and the T cells and the B cells who are there to fight the disease. So it's a brilliant book written. From there, I had a lot of inspiration, understanding that more than the medication, it is my own innate tendency to be able to fight any disease, because I've always been a health, I've been a Pandora box of health issues right from school days and up till date. So for me, to fight any disease is more important than to fight any other situation in my life. And I'm very, very strongly, I have a belief system in me that you need to totally understand yourself, understand your disease, understand your medication. And when I had tuberculosis way back in 2019, and in my Buddhist practice, a friend of mine told me, you should love your medication. You should allow your medication to be like your own husband or your own wife, that much with it, so that, because you at times you don't believe that in the medication, because I had to take it for 10.5 months, and every tablet mattered. Post tuberculosis, I landed up with typhoid, and I was like, this is it, Neerja Singh, you're coming with too much in one plate. So as much as I understand your situation, and I feel it's very important to understand yourself and understand your own belief system. That's it from my end. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing your
Thanks,
views.
Neerja.
I think Sugandha ma'am, thank you.
And Mr. Ajay Gupta, Priyam?
Yes, yes. I'll just unmute Sugandha ma'am and then. Yes,
Hi everyone. Hi, I'm Sugandha. I work with Meenu ma'am in her pet project I Can Fly, an institute for special needs. I belong to a family where my mother and my two aunts all have been cancer survivors. My mother lived to be 84 and she was diagnosed with breast cancer in the year 1981. I was in class 11 at that time. And there was nothing called mental health at that time. There was nothing called, counseling. There was nothing called psychiatrist. It was just that she and the family and the doctor. Okay. And I still remember she was under one doctor called Dr. P.K. Banerjee. And he was her, the person who gave her the chemotherapy. And she used to get it done in this Park nursing home next to, I think Bellevue. Yeah, somewhere there in AJC Post Road. And I remember I used to drop her off at the nursing home, go to school, come back, pick her up, and come back home together, both of us. And throughout the journey, to and fro to the hospital, she used to keep saying, don't worry, it's a very expensive treatment. Because I belong to a very middle class South Indian Tamil Brahmin family. So she used to say, I'll make sure you complete your education. Nothing is going to stop you from studying. All right. And the second thing which I realized, you all were talking about losing hair. It's so traumatic. And the support she got from her brother, her elder brother, my uncle, was he went and shaved off his hair for her. And, they used to have this twinning, like, see, we both are bald, we both are, let's go like this. And it seems when they were very young, they were taken to Tirupati as a mannat and they had been shaved off their hair like this. And they used to relive those days. And both my uncle and my mom are not there. But today, I think Priyam and Meenu ma'am, thank you. This is like a tribute to my mother, to be very frank. Living spirit. I mean, she was such a live wire. Even one day before she passed away, I held her hand and she passed away in my arms, basically. And she told me, if I die, make sure I wear a green rang ka sari, make sure the blouse is matching and the petticoat is also green. Don't make me wear a black petticoat and a green sari and some weird colored blouse and send me off. Like, she was like that till 2018. When she passed away. So thank you so much. I really wish we had more people coming out and talking about their experiences. My two other aunts, one had uterus cancer, the other one had breast cancer. Both are doing good. The one with the breast cancer is now 82, and the one who had uterus cancer, she is 71. All good, totally, living their lives. And I keep getting complaints from their son and daughters that, please stop your Masi. Yeah, they are going haywire because they are all cooped up at home now because of the pandemic. So, please stop them. They are so full of life. So once again, thank you so much, Meenu ma'am and Priyam, for this. Like, it's like a tribute to my mother. I'm really thankful for this. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Sugandha ma'am. I almost have tears in my eyes, honestly. I'll just unmute. Yeah, Mr. Ajay Gupta.
या धन्यवाद. मैं हिंदी में ही कहूँगा, कोई प्रॉब्लम तो नहीं है ना?
नहीं.
मैं दो बातें हैं मेरे को कहने के लिए. एक, मेरी फैमिली का जो एक्सपीरियंस है वो शेयर करना चाहूँगा. मेरे चाचा जी को जबड़े का कैंसर था. कैंसर का ऑपरेशन होने के बाद 2 बार उनका ऑपरेशन हुआ. 13 साल वो सरवाइव किए और बड़ी एक दुखद दुर्घटना में उनकी मृत्यु हुई, रोड एक्सीडेंट में. तो दैट वाज वेरी बैड पार्ट फॉर अस. और उसके बाद मेरा एक सवाल है सपना जी से, सपना सोमानी जी से. उन्होंने अपने संदर्भ में कहा था कि अल्टरनेटिव थेरेपी के विषय में. तो मैं ये जानना चाहूंगा कि किस टाइप की अल्टरनेट थेरेपी का उन्होंने उपयोग किया क्योंकि मैं खुद एक एक्यूप्रेशर स्पेशलिस्ट हूँ, प्राणायाम स्पेशलिस्ट हूँ मैं, तो मैं यही जानना चाहता हूँ कि क्या किया होगा उन्होंने।
मैंने ऑल्टरनेट थेरेपी के बारे में बहुत सुना था, बट मैंने अपनी लाइन ऑफ ट्रीटमेंट जो चूज करी थी, आई वेंट फॉर एन एलोपैथिक ट्रीटमेंट which led me to the surgery. Alternate therapies बहुत सारे लोगों ने मुझे सजेस्ट करी थी कि आपको सर्जरी की जरूरत नहीं है, आप नेचर क्योर में आप जाओगे तो डेफिनेटली आप ऐसे ही ठीक हो सकते हो। सिंस मेरा न्यूरो एंडोक्राइन नेट जिसको बोलते हैं वो ट्यूमर था मेरा, एंड इट वाज अ स्लो ग्रोइंग ट्यूमर। तो मेरे बॉडी में ऑलरेडी पिछले 2.5 साल से था मेरे बॉडी में, एंड सिंस पैंक्रियाटिक कैंसर के सिम्टम्स नहीं होते हैं बोल करके मैं वैसे भी कोई सिम्टम नहीं शो हो रहा था मेरे बॉडी में। सो ऑल्टरनेट थेरेपीज बहुत सारी अवेलेबल हैं, पर मैंने अवेल नहीं करी थी। यस, प्राणायाम केप्ट मी गोइंग, डीप ब्रीदिंग एंड एक्यूप्रेशर, रेकी सेशंस मैंने लिए थे, थीटा हीलिंग मैंने ली, बट नॉट एज अ मेजर लाइन ऑफ ट्रीटमेंट। दीज थेरेपीज हेल्प्ड मी, मेरे पेन में रिलीफ मिला था मुझे। माय सिस्टर इज द थीटा हीलर एंड अ क्लोज कॉलीग इन ऑफिस इज अ रेकी हीलर। सो ये सब थेरेपीज ने मुझे बहुत हेल्प किया इन रिलीविंग माय पेन, to getting my energies back, because you are very low on your energy, and because of pancreatic surgery your diet goes for a toss. So for my diet, one meal was just 1 bite of roti or 1 teaspoon of rice. That was my diet for days together in 1 meal. So your energies are very low. So these alternate therapies did help me.
वेरी गुड। मेरा ऑब्जर्वेशन इस चीज के बारे में सिर्फ एक बहुत ही छोटा सा है कि अगर कोई कैंसर पेशेंट को सबसे ज्यादा जरूरत होती है तो डिटॉक्सिफिकेशन की। एलोपैथी में डिटॉक्सिफिकेशन का कोई सिस्टम नहीं है, ये अल्टरनेटिव थेरेपी मिलेगा आइदर थ्रू प्राणायाम, एक्यूप्रेशर और सम अदर थेरेपी। और कैंसर पेशेंट को सबसे ज्यादा जरूरत होती है डिटॉक्सिफिकेशन की भी लगातार करते रहने की अपने बॉडी से। This is my personal observation which I am doing in this field since so many years, and कराता हूँ सबको प्राणायाम, क्योंकि प्राणायाम जो कराता हूँ वो अकॉर्डिंग टू द बॉडी एलिमेंट। लोग खाली वो पेट को हिलाने को प्राणायाम समझते हैं, आयुर्वेद को समझते हैं, काढ़ा पी लिया खाली वो आयुर्वेद है। आयुर्वेद अपने आप में बहुत बड़ा साइंस है, लेकिन लोग सिर्फ काढ़ा पीने को ही आयुर्वेद समझने लग गए, तो थोड़ा सा बड़ा अटपटा सा लगता है।
वेल आप जो डिटॉक्सिफिकेशन की बात कर रहे हो, मैं वंस मेरी दोनों सर्जरीज जब कंप्लीट हो गई थी तो उसके बाद मैंने, आई बिलोंग टू विशाखापट्टनम, एंड सिंस आई बिलोंग टू अ स्मॉलर सिटी, आई एम नॉट इन अ मेट्रो सिटी, डिटॉक्सिफिकेशन का एक सेशन मैंने लिया था विच वेंट ऑन फॉर 4 days, इन विच द मैक्सिमम डिटॉक्स जो उन्होंने किया था दैट वाज थ्रू एनिमा, एंड इट डिड हेल्प मी. But that was only one session which I took, and months after my surgery.
Yes.
But it did help me.
Yeah, definitely. Yes. Detoxification बहुत जरूरत है, और regular life जो 24-hour routine है, that is more important for all these things. That is much important. How to live, क्या करना है, क्या नहीं करना है, उससे सबसे ज्यादा जरूरत है क्या नहीं करना है। लोग करने के बारे में तो बहुत ज्ञान मिल जाते हैं, ये करो वो करो, व्हाट्सएप में भी इतना ज्ञान और पूरा इंटरनेट भरा पड़ा ज्ञान से, लेकिन क्या नहीं करना चाहिए कैंसर पेशेंट को, ये सबसे ज्यादा जानने की जरूरत है।
Priyam, I think we should go to rapid fire.
Yeah, okay. Bye.
So much. Thank you everyone for being really participative and interactive. And thank you once again, all our brave speakers for today, starting from Swati, the bold type, Sapna Auntie, and also Nidhi Masi. Now, as we promised, we do have a little surprise for you at the end. It's a little rapid fire round. We'll be throwing questions at our speakers, starting with Mum, and all the speakers are to, just reply in one word, whatever comes to your mind when you hear what we say. So, Mum, over to you.
So, I'm asking Nidhi that kadak cutting chai or cold coffee?
Chai, yes.
Because Assam ki hai na.
Yes. Totally.
What about Sapna?
चाय, बिल्कुल अदरक वाली। And every morning religiously, my husband feeds me chai.
Wow, wow, that's nice. Yeah, great. Swati, what about you?
I don't have either. I have my detox water.
That's even better. Addicted to hum log hain. So my next question is mind over heart or heart over mind? Whoever wants to answer first.
Mind over heart.
There are days when mind over heart, but there are days when heart over mind also works good.
That's nice.
For me, mind over heart. Always, mostly all the time, yes.
And Swati is there.
Yeah, I said mind over heart. That's what I keep telling myself. Do not listen to your heart ever.
So to de-stress, what is your me time? Like, how do you see your me time?
Music and gardening.
Playing board games and watching Netflix.
Yeah, for me, it's board games and just long walks. That's what works for me.
Good, good, good. So Swati already said Netflix. So for you, both Netflix or Prime?
Netflix.
I think Prime.
So which one are you seeing right now?
I'm seeing all Netflix, Prime, Voot, Z. I think we have subscription for all these channels.
Chota Star, Bada Star, Hotstar.
I have just started Maharani.
I've heard that's brilliant.
So most recently, binge watched web series.
The bold type.
Yeah. Priyam also told me about that. Nidhi?
I'm actually watching This Is Us. So, very, very heartwarming story. I mean, I don't want to sound cliched, but for an American drama series, it is amazingly clean and really warm. I wanted to watch it with my teenage daughter, but she like blankly refused. She like, Mama, please, I don't want to watch it. But I strongly advise, watch it with your kids. There's a whole lot of warmth in that show, which I feel is missing in so many of us now.
Sapna?
For me, we are watching Out of Love on Hotstar right now.
So right now, what is your biggest strength?
My husband says, "Piche se pati." Yes, Sushil has been a very, very big support for me. But my kids, my family, my brother, as my brother was there, jiski beti ki shaadi thi India mein, and he was there with me in US just 3 weeks before that. And my sister, she was there, for a month with me, cooking for me and doing all sorts of work. My family has been the biggest support for me.
Nidhi?
Yeah, same here. I think my family, the strongest support system that I could ask for, really. And my husband, like I said before, he was my nucleus. He's the one I drew my strength from. And of course, friends. Friends are, the unassuming way that they just accept you. That helps you accept yourself.
Right.
It's true for everyone. I think family and friends are the people who you count on always in every situation. So yeah.
After that, you truly know who is your real friend, who is your extended family. Yeah. So if not Kolkata/Vizag, where would you live for the rest of your life?
Visakhapatnam, bilkul. I love Vizag.
So Vizag is also my mother's place. So
Yes.
I'm also very proud of Vizag.
Yeah.
Nidhi?
For me, that would be my mom's place, Tinsukia, Assam. That's where I grew up. And if not Calcutta, that's where I would like to be.
Swati?
I think I'm very comfortable being home.
So Swati, what is the one thing that cancer has taught you?
To really appreciate small things. And more than that, it's not always about you, because I knew if I was not feeling well, if I was throwing up, it was my mother and my father also suffering. So I did not make this whole thing about me, and I made it about everyone else. It's a journey we all go through together, not individually.
Oh.
Nice. Nidhi?
Correct. Yeah, I think that what Swati just said is absolutely true. So, in fact, this is something you should talk about mental health with the family of the cancer survivors, because they go through cancer as much as the patient does, even the physical bit, the physical pain might be the patient's own, but otherwise all them are running around, and mentally, of course, they are all impacted by something that has happened to that one person. So it's actually a very good idea to talk about mental health and how the family copes with cancer.
Sapna, you?
Yeah, certainly the trauma is not only for the patient, the trauma is for the family members as well. I don't think many people do understand and appreciate it, but the family goes through hell. The family goes through a big trauma.
I surely can resonate because I've seen my mom suffering. So I really can relate with all of you so much. And Priyam really, wanted her Nanima to talk over this show, but I don't know, she has never faced camera. So when I asked her कि मम्मी तुम बोलो कैसे बोलोगी, तो मम्मी बोलती मेरे को कुछ याद ही नहीं है मैं क्या बोलूंगी. So many years now, she is 75 and she's hale and hearty. I'm so proud. Priyam, over to you.
Thank you. So, a couple of fun questions. If you could choose a superpower, which one would it be between these two? If you could be either invisible or you could fly.
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 Yeah, fly for sure.
Okay. What are the 3 things that make you happy?
Can I take that first?
Okay, who's talking first?
No, sorry, Swati, please go ahead.
Okay, I'll just go with it. My dog makes me happy. Dancing makes me happy. So there have been just times I just play the music and I dance because there's so much energy piled up in me. And 3 are my family and friends. They make me happy because that's where conversations happen. Yeah.
Me.
Yeah, so for me, my family and friends, yes, they make me happy. My kids make me happy, and board games make me happy. Yes, so these are the 3 things.
We're definitely planning a board games evening soon, because I think Swati and I both love board games and you do as well. So yeah, this is coming up.
Let's do that. Yeah, it should be good fun.
New addition to your gang.
Sapna Aunty, what about you?
Good music, dance floor, and loads of friends around.
Lovely. Okay, what is a bucket list must have that you want to go to after recovery?
I have already been to 3-4 on holidays, 3-4 times after my second surgery. So, well, now the bucket list is I just need to go out of Vizag. As soon as this pandemic comes down a bit, I'm sure to travel.
So I think the bucket list for everyone right now is to travel, right? Everyone's been in this, like, warming their seats for too long. So definitely traveling is on my bucket list also.
Yeah, so for me, I would love to go. I've done a trek before and would like to go on another one. That's on my bucket list.
Okay, so long heart-to-heart phone conversations or scrolls or WhatsApp messages with gifs and emojis? Which one is you?
Heart-to-heart conversations.
Heart-to-heart
Any
conversations.
day. Yes, heart-to-heart conversations any day. Voice still trumps over text.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So what is the one song that you hear most often? Like the one song that will pick you up any time of the day.
जब कोई बात बिगड़ जाए, जब कोई मुश्किल पड़ जाए. That's my favorite song. I keep humming it. I sang it also in a few parties. I'm not a singer, but I try.
So right now the song that I'm glued to is a song called Pinewood. It's so yeah, it just takes me back to good old, like everything every day is good. Yeah, it just takes me back to good days where things were much better and this pandemic had not hit us.
Yeah, so for me, I think it would be all the songs by Pratik Kuhar. I think he's just so extremely soulful, and he's playing every evening in my room. I just light up 2 candles and my Alexa is playing Pratik Kuhar, and yes, that's like my my stress-free evening. So yes, Pratik Kuhar for me.
Did you hear his new song?
Yes, yes,
You did?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Of course.
Festival is love, like it's love for Priyam and I both.
We tried to go for a Pratik Kaur concert together as well. That's another story. But same, I love Pratik Kaur and I think Swati is crazy about him too. So, done anything spontaneous lately, even though we are amidst a pandemic and a lockdown, but anything spontaneous that you've done?
I bought a dog.
Oh, yes, totally.
To scare Priyam away from my house.
Can I speak?
Yeah.
Yeah. So recently it was raining in Vizag, and I just proposed to my husband ki barish mein bhige. And of course, my daughter and myself we've done it a couple of times. And this one time, so she said yes, of course. And we all were dancing in the rain. That is my latest thing, which we did during pandemic.
It reminds me of Tinsukia, my old Tinsukia childhood days. क्यों निधि याद है ना?
Yes, ekdam Didi. That the amount of rain we get in Tinsukia is no joke. So we were constantly getting drenched in the rain.
What is the one thing you've done spontaneously?
Yeah, so for me, not really spontaneous, but something that I've just taken up is gardening. And I'm thoroughly enjoying it, though it requires a different degree of patience. But yes, I've recently started doing that.
Nice. Okay, so what is your most used emoji on WhatsApp?
The smiley.
Sorry, which one?
The laughing face for me. It's just like, if you don't want to reply to anyone, just spend this laughing face. It's the end of a conversation.
Now I know.
Priyam, I don't send it to you ever.
I use a lot of smileys. It depends. Can be a smiling face, can be a flying kiss, so I use a lot of smileys.
Okay. Anidhi Masi?
Yeah, for me, smileys, most of the times it's smileys. I also use that one emoji with the 3 hearts around it. That's also something that I use quite frequently.
Okay, and if you were to play yourself in a movie, which actress would you want it to be? It could be from a TV show, it could be from a movie.
Such a difficult question. I've never even thought about it.
Yeah, whoever's the reigning, top actress in either TV or
whoever's getting
the movies. Yeah, whoever that might be at that point of time.
Anyone has any preference in particular?
No, Priyam. Fame can get greedy, so we want to be everywhere.
Okay, and my last question is, what is the one thing, I think everyone has answered that, but still once again, what is the one thing that, cancer has taught you, and you start to live life a lot more now, but what is the one thing that cancer has really taught you?
Love yourself.
Your scars will be permanent, but then what they've taught you, remember that.
Right.
Yeah, I think cancer has taught me strength, and you have faith in yourself, have faith. And I think it has, really allowed me to focus on the love of my family, what the family went through, and the amount of love they showered on me. It has made me realize that.
Also love your body. That's very important. Loving your body is so important.
Listening to your body is also important, which I have learnt now.
Absolutely.
You have to listen to your body and, of course, love yourself. As I said, answering one of the questions is I had a very casual approach towards my health before I was diagnosed, but now no more.
So, same thing with me. I got also accidentally detected with cancer. It was just COVID which took me to the hospital, and there was a lump sitting on my breast. So I was also taking life very not seriously at all, dancing on tabletops, and then this happened. So I totally feel you also.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for sharing. Mom?
Yeah, I think I would say ये सब सुन के जो love yourself, I would say my favorite dialogue is मैं अपनी favorite हूँ.
Correct, yeah.
जब भी ये बोलती हूँ तो प्रियम बोलती है कि तुमको you are obsessed about yourself. Maybe, but I am.
Yes, great.
So thank you all of you. What a heartfelt evening we have had. Priyam, I think you can take it forward and ask Papa to just have a thank you note.
Yeah, Dad, would you like to say something?
Yeah, Priyam, what do I say and how do I say? There are times when words fail to express your feelings, and this is one such evening where these three brave girls, Swati, Sapna, and Nidhi, they have opened their heart. They have talked about the journey they have gone through. And there is a saying that when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And each one of you have proved that. Kudos to each one of you, but I would say equal to your family and friends. I think this is one thing which we have heard throughout. And during the tough times, you realize that who is your friend, who in the family cares for you. I myself gone through COVID last year, and it was during the one of the worst time in August. And during that time, what I went through, and the people who used to message me, the people who used to call me, I would remember each one of them. Some did not have the face to directly call me, but they used to ask someone else that, what do I say and how do I ask? But I used to get all the messages, and those messages will remain lifelong with you. And they are the people who are your lifelong friends, who are your lifelong family. So I would say that this was really one of the evenings where each one of us who have been a part of this evening would really get some value. You would get some positivity that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And to all the three brave girls, I would say that from darkness to light, you keep shining bright. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jaji. Thank you. And I'd like to speak here. Jaji, do you remember the time when you had taken me to Dr. Prashanta Banerjee? We were looking at alternative therapies, and you had taken out time from your busy schedule and accompanied us, waited for so long out there, and were there throughout. So thank you so much for that, Jaji. Thank you.
Come on, Nidhi, come on. So
it was a really nice evening, and
I think we need more of this, free, frank talk. And
today I'm most happy about Swati was always very upfront, but I am really happy about Nidhi that she has come out, and I think from today onwards she will take this journey forward to spread more and more awareness.
People will feel jealous of you, seeing your bundle of energy. Each one of you carry it.
No, I think it is important to talk about it.
Yes, yes.
You do get strength hearing others.
Yes, your energy.
Really, I think I'll get in touch with you offbeat, and we'll do something together on social media. We'll do a fun reel.
Let's do that, Swati. Let's do that.
Sapna, you must create a support group for cancer survivors, or not only cancer survivors who are going through cancer, so that each one can share their pain and journey with each other. It will be a very big thing for society.
Yeah, sure. It's a good suggestion. We'll definitely go ahead with it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Really glad that we actually had planned this webinar. We were thinking about it for a very long time. Maybe it's been like a month or 2 months. And, because sort of we've been talking to Swati a lot regarding this. And when we were thinking of, let's get more women cancer survivors to come and share their story. And we kept, then we were thinking, who else can we reach out to? So I'm really happy that, Nidhi, Masi, you've joined in today. And
Thank you, Priyam. Thank you so much for having me.
I've heard it, from you for the first time. And the same thing happened to me. When mom told me about, you've been diagnosed, I didn't know how to reach out to you. But I'm just glad that, today we could break ice on this. And thanks for sharing your story.
No, I know it is a difficult thing to talk about. Most people find it difficult to talk about it. And so consequently, they find it difficult to reach out to the person who's suffering from cancer. And so I think it is really important to have conversations about it, to remove the taboo around this disease.
And we all were in conversation with mom, your mom, all the time. How
Yes.
And we were actually planning to have Nani as a little surprise element in the end. But we tried till the last moment, but she's not here today. But I think we'll share the recording with her. Thank you once again, everyone, for joining. And everyone who's missed out watching the session, it's also been live on our Caring Minds Facebook page. It's also going to be up on our Caring Minds YouTube channel. So we'll share the links, and please, feel free to share with all your loved ones so that you can continue to inspire one and all. Thank you. Thank you.
We have also launched a toll-free helpline where anybody and everybody can come and call anytime and seek for counseling.
Yeah. So this is the toll-free Pan India helpline number, which we've just launched about 3 weeks ago. And, as you all said, it's the family of a cancer survivor who actually needs that, mental and emotional help. So be it for cancer, be it for any other terminal illness, be it for anything at all due to the pandemic, we're just one call away. And, we just like to try and help everyone as much as we can. And thank you once again, everyone, for joining and being so interactive and being so real and candid and sharing your stories.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank